I love it when there's a big anniversary year for Doctor Who. Like last year was the 60th anniversary, and that means that it's like the 50th anniversary of some major things that were happening in Doctor Who at the time, like the introduction of Elizabeth Sladen. There's the 50th anniversary of the Three Doctors. We're approaching the 50th anniversary of Tom Baker taking the role of Doctor Who from John Pertwee, etc. However, one anniversary that did not go remarked upon when it passed was the 50-year anniversary of the Sontarans introduced in Doctor Who in The Time Warrior in late 1973. And this is an occasion that is being celebrated by Big Finish through a quadrilogy of special releases called The Sontarans vs. Rootans. We've got a story here with the 8th Doctor called The Battle of Giant's Causeway. There's a 3rd Doctor story called The Children of the Future. There's a upcoming 6th Doctor one as well, Sontarans vs. Rootans Born to Die. And we don't have any details yet, but we do know that this is a War Doctor story starring Jonathan Carley called In Name Only. We don't really have much more details about that, unfortunately. But the first one of these sets, The Battle of Giant's Causeway, was released last month. Written by Lizzie Hopley, starring Paul McGann as the 8th Doctor, and this is going into like early 2000s territory, early to mid 2000s Big Finish territory, because this is the 8th Doctor with Charlie, played by India Fisher, and also Kerez, played by Conrad Westmus, and Conrad has not played this role in Big Finish for at least 15 years. This is a pretty deep cut in terms of like the length of time. This is a early 8th Doctor audio story in terms of like the timeline that it's placed in, but this is just hoping to be released in 2024 and just hoping to go back to that original time and just slotting into that. We're going back to the old days with Charlie and Kerez. Pixel Johnson's absolutely right. Now, I will say, if you folks are part of the Kerez Appreciation Society, the Battle of Giant's Causeway does not really do them any favours because they are just on the back burner in a B plot, not doing an awful lot. But the Battle of Giant's Causeway takes place centuries ago, where the Sontarans are the Centurions because they believe themselves to be the Roman legion that is invading the United Kingdom in the Giant's Causeway in the north of Ireland. And this weird temporal force has thrown the 8th Doctor, Kerez, and Charlie off course in the TARDIS, and this same temporal energy might be messing with the memories and the minds of the Sontarans, who genuinely believe themselves to be part of the Roman Legion. You've got Sontarans here with very fun names. You've got General Ignatius Antius Salutio, played by John Banks, and you've got, played by Dan Starkey, Commander Caecilius Crassus Proculus. They genuinely believe themselves to be Romans, and they also eat, even though it is utterly repellent to them because they are meant to be getting food and nourishment from the probic vent, but they don't know what Sontar is, they don't know what Rootans are, they just genuinely believe themselves to be Roman soldiers. The 8th Doctor and Charlie get separated from Kerez on the Giant's Causeway, and they are taken to the Sontaran leader, and this takes place. Let's play a clip from the Battle of Giant's Causeway.
Commander Proculus! My apologies. I thought this was a strategy meeting.
I can work from a bath, Salutio. The minerals aid my flow of thought. Great.
No, thank you.
That's a naked Sontaran.
Believe me, I'm as aghast as you are.
Are these the prisoners from the broken shore?
They call themselves the Doctor and Miss Pollard.
Come forward.
I'm not sure we should.
You are resisting an order from a Roman commander?
More out of sense than stupidity, I assure you. He is using a Sontaran fragmentation grenade as a paperweight.
What? The egg rock?
Gently now, that thing could ruin bath time.
Sontaran.
Fragmentation grenade. See the tiny indentation near the pointy end? Well, I wouldn't use it as a stress ball.
This one is full of foolish words. Sontarans, probic dents.
Probic vents. You have one on the back of your neck. All of you do.
You have not met Romans before.
Not ones that eat grapes in the bath. You may well be the very first Emperor of Rome, 70 years before the Empire.
I see we have a new soothsayer. Excellent. I drowned the last one in a bucket.
He's not a soothsayer, he's a Time Lord, and you should listen to him because you lot can't stay here.
We have no intention of staying, boy. We plan a revenge raid against the Celtish devils at dawn.
So it's a pretty cool premise in terms of just how much it commits to it, but it's not a fully original one. Like when it comes to the Sontarans messing with history or being implemented into these historical events through temporal energy, we had this in the War of the Sontarans, the 13th Doctor Flux story, where they essentially took the role of Russia in the Crimean War. We've had in the Ninth Doctor adventures, we had Salvation 9, where the Sontarans were having their own society, and they even had like gendered Sontarans as well. They kind of forgot their lineage. And, you know, so it's not an incredibly novel concept, but the execution here is still really fun and it's really well implemented. There's some great back and forth between these mishappened Sontarans with the Eighth Doctor and Charlie. I mentioned earlier, Kerez is kind of wasted in this story, so if you folks are really, really excited for the return of Conrad Westmass, I do think you are going to leave the Battle of Giant's Causeway pretty disappointed, because it's his first appearance in like 15 years in the Big Finish audio dramas playing this role, and then they're immediately separated like 5 minutes into the story, and then he's in a B-plot, which doesn't really go anywhere. He's kind of discovering things at the same time as the Eighth Doctor is discovering things, just in a different location. And while there is something to be said for Kerez's ability to sort of change shape around him, and like he's trying to take on the traits of his environment, it kind of does feel a bit like a wasted opportunity for the particular story, because this is a story about Sontarans and Rutans, because Rutans are meant to be shapeshifters, and maybe there was an idea about Kerez and the Rutans having some sort of kindred spirit amongst themselves, but it doesn't really pay off in the final version, if that was meant to be the idea going in. However, obviously, I do not really know the story between the Eighth Doctor, Charlie, and Kerez in the, what's it called? Damn it, the Divergent Dimension. So, the Divergent Dimension. I think that's what it is. Like I said, I've not listened to these stories from like 15 years ago. So obviously they can't really change the events of those stories. Like they can't really drop a big character bombshell or whatever. But it does still feel like even with those limitations, the Divergent, yeah, that's the one. Even though they can't really change the storyline from 15 years ago at Big Finish when he was a companion, it does kind of feel like he's underserved in this story, even by those pretty low standards, in my opinion. That being said, it's still fun. There's some really good music in this story as well, by the way. The music was done by Joe Kramer. Really great score. Like, it really does underpin some really great moments. There's some, like, lovely, like, dialogue exchanges. There's some, like, there's just this really cool idea where you have these Sontarans who genuinely believe themselves to be Roman soldiers, and the Doctor's sort of unraveling the puzzle. It does, you know, it's a solid hour of Doctor Who entertainment with the Sontarans and some timey-wimey stuff with the Sontaran and the Rutan War. I think that India Fisher is really, really great here. However, the fact that she gets the really cool moments, that she gets the great interactions with the Sontarans and the Eighth Doctor, and not Kerez, even though Kerez has not been in the Big Finish audio dramas for like 15 years, and this was touted as a big triumphant return for the character, it feels a bit strange. I actually probably would have preferred it if it was Kerez with the Eighth Doctor and the Sontarans, and Charlie was doing their own thing in the B-plot. That would have been an awful lot more fun. As, you know, I appreciate that I'm approaching this from like, oh, this is a character who I've never heard before. I want to really get to know them, but there's not really anything for them to do in this story. And I understand that. However, the issue is that, you know, I think that this was like sold as the big like Kerez reunion, and then they have nothing to do. It's a bit disappointing, but still. Kerez being underserved must be a Monday. Well, here's the thing, I don't know. I have no idea who this character is. I just go in with the benefit of, oh, this is like something Big Finish did like 15 years ago. This is a Doctor and companion dynamic. Oh, okay, cool. Let's get to know it. And then like they're separated a couple of minutes in. So, you know, it's a little bit unfortunate. But I think that while the story itself is not super original, while the like actual structure of the story is a little bit all over the place. Like, I'm not entirely sure what the Doctor did to win the day at the end of the story, and there are a lot of deliberate loose ends where the Doctor's like, oh, how did that happen? I don't get this. Or there are a lot of unanswered questions, which I'm assuming are going to be paid off in future stories. We've got Children of the Future next month. The month after that, there's Born to Die, and then the month after that, there's In Name Only. So there's clearly some weird time distortion, some time stuff that's going to be panning out over the course of these 4 episodes, culminating in like one big story arc, which is kind of comprised of 4 standalone stories. So going into this is like a fun Sontaran Rutan dynamic. It is like a corner of the Doctor Who universe that isn't really explored that often, the Sontaran and the Rutan War. A big part of that is because the Sontarans on their own are normally just good enough villains to sustain a full story, and they are just it's the fun imperialist jingoistic potato men. Like, that's just a really cool idea for a villain, and they often have a lot of fun with that premise. But, you know, for like a 1 hour $8.99 or $10.99 CD or download from bigfinish.com, you could do a lot worse. But, you know, if this sounds like your bag, go for it. But I don't think this is a release that you need to rush out and get. It's fine. It's solid. It's absolutely fine. But I do genuinely think that if you wanted a really novel and fun Big Finish audio adventure with the Sontarans, just listen to Salvation 9 with the Ninth Doctor. Or, if you're a Doctor Who Sontaran fan on a budget, just watch War of the Sontarans again. It's kind of cribbing from similar material. Oh, so it's Once and Future again? Maybe. We'll see how it pans out in the end, though. But, as long as one of these four is maybe as good as the Martian Invasion of Planetoid 50, it might be worthwhile to do. But it's cool to see Big Finish celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Sontarans in a quartet of releases with different Doctors and different companion dynamics. And the Battle of Giant's Causeway it's a fun historical. You know, it's fine. It's fine. It's okay. It's okay.